Now, let me preface this by saying this next organization isn't a cult, but a secret society. And I created this channel to educate whoever is interested into the other side of America, Black America. We have a deeply rooted culture in this country, and no one seems to see it. Better yet, no one seems to know where to look. But on that note, on with the shit show. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of the Black Secret Society, akin to the Skull and Bones, who are alleged to manipulate the Black society of the mid 1900s? If so, were you also aware of their involvement in helping J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI in squashing what is considered to be the largest Pan African movement to date? If not, well, let me put you on game. But first, flick that like and subscribe button. You don't want to miss out. The Boule, Greek for Council of Chiefs, also known as Sigma Pi Phi, is America's oldest Black Greek fraternity. It was founded in Philadelphia in 1904, 2 years before Alpha Phi Alpha. Its founder was Henry Minton. Minton, along with a few other successful Black doctors in the area, one being one of the first two Black graduates of Harvard Medical School, founded the organization to help foster relationships of other successful Black Americans at that time, the upper echelons of Black society, if you will. A few of its most notable members being Dr. Martin Luther King, Benjamin E. Mays, Carter G. Woodson, and Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. Their logo is the Greek mythological creature, the griffin, holding an urn. And according to their history books, the urn houses the names of the people who are chosen to lead the state. Many credible sources mark the Boule as just Du Bois for the white aristocracy, doing the bidding for America's ruling class by keeping the majority of the Black community docile and impoverished, while the Boule continued to be handpicked and placed in high-paying positions. One example of this would be the sabotage of Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement of the early 1900s. Now, if you're not familiar with Garvey and his movement, you can Google it, but I'll give you a quick rundown. Garvey galvanized millions of working class Black Americans not to depend on white Americans for their salvation. He preached that Blacks needed to move away from America and back to Africa to what is now present-day Liberia. Garvey has secured land, created transportation through the formation of his Black Star Line, a shipping company that he founded. He built hotels, grocery stores, schools, restaurants, and owned his own printing press to create his own newspaper called The Negro World. Garvey and his UNIA had 52 chapters across the world. And when the powers that be realized that Marcus Garvey was close to pulling this off, the fear of the Black Messiah was born, and America did what America is famous for always doing: dismantling, discrediting, and destroying. But here's where the Boule comes in. What is inferred is that the FBI tapped Sigma Pi Phi to do its dirty work, using Boule members like R.R. Moulton, who was the successor for Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee, to gather and relay intel, and another prominent Boule member, W.E.B. Du Bois, to slander Garvey in the newspaper and magazines. And since the Boule's alleged control over the majority of Black news distribution at the time, silenced Garvey in the mainstream press as well. Eventually, the tactics worked. With the help of the Boule and throughout their network of spies, the government was able to take down Garvey, finding him guilty of mail fraud and sentencing him to 5 years in prison. And after almost 3 years of imprisonment, Garvey was given a pardon, but then deported. As a side note, you remember Sigma Pi Phi member R.R. Moulton, who helped discredit Garvey and eventually took over the Tuskegee Institute from Booker T. Washington? It was under his watch that the United States government injected 200 Black men with syphilis in what we now know today as the Tuskegee experiment. Till this day, the Boule still operates with over 100 chapters, with offshoots like the Lynx for its women and Jack and Jill for their children. One can conclude that they have their own incubators for Black elite success, not to mention the Black Greek fraternities that they recruit from. And then to think about the other powerful Black movements like the Black Panthers, it makes you wonder. It's crazy to think that if they operated like this back in the day, what are they capable of now? It leads me to wonder, if Marcus Garvey was successful, would black people be better off? If all of the displaced melanated people throughout the world created their own nation on the continent of Africa, how would that have changed the course of history as we know it today? I'm eager to know your views. What do you think? Is Sigma Pi Phi or the Boule just a puppet of white supremacy?